Hello everyone and welcome back to JavaScript Lessons and Codecademy. So last time we made our own phone book using object-oriented programming in JavaScript. Hopefully you guys managed to follow that, seeing as it was actually half an hour video. And I think that was actually a quite good representation of things that you could do with objects in JavaScript. You can do much more, but that was an example of what you can do for something in real life. So today we're still going to be continuing on the topic of object-oriented programming. Some people say that JavaScript isn't an object-oriented programming language, but that's debatable. You can look it up on Google. So I will say that it kind of is object-oriented. So yeah, don't worry too much about that. You can make objects, so I think it's fine. So let's just start off with this lesson. So we're just going to start off with a review. So let's review the basics of objects covered in our previous lesson on objects, or the previous few lessons on objects and videos. So if recall, we can create objects using either literal notation or constructor notation. So literal notation creates a single object. Literal notation uses curly brackets, which are those, and the object's default properties are defined within the brackets using property value notation. So there's no example of that here. Then you have constructor notation, which involves defining an object constructor, and like defining a function, we use the function keyword. You can think of this constructor as a template from which you can create multiple objects. So to create a new object from a constructor, we use the new keyword, which it hasn't done here either, or either, which way you want to say it. So what we need to do is finish the James object, so this is the James object, by adding properties to it. His job should be programmer and should have a married property set to false. So we want to have a job which is programmer. I'm guessing that needs to be a string. Yep, it does. And I think that there is supposed to be a comma there, as well as married. That needs to be false. Oops, actually, it needs to be false like that, because it needs to be a boolean, not a string. So what we need to do is then create Gabby object using the person constructor. She should have a job of student and her married property should be true. So how we do this is say new Gabby equals, instead of here you would normally put object, but because we already have a constructor which is called person, we can just put person there. And I believe that's how you do it. If it's not, then I will just use the hint. And then in Gabby, you can either do Gabby and then treat it as an index. She should have a job of student. So job equals student. And her married property should be true. There we go. Let's see if that works. Oops, it doesn't. I will just look at the hint, because I actually don't completely remember how to do that. So equals new object, which we have done with this. And then how do we actually append other things? It doesn't say that. Okay guys, I will come back. Let's go through why that didn't work. First of all, we're using a pre-made constructor, so we actually don't need these two lines or anything similar. So we can just comment those out. And because we're using a constructor, we need to give the constructor arguments. So the first argument gives the job, and in this case, Gabby's job is a student. Well, it's not really her job, but that's what we need to put it as. And then we need to say that she is married, so true. Then this isn't how you create an object. How you create an object is you need to say var and then the name of the variable, and then equals new, and then your constructor, which in this case is person. It could also be object or any other constructor that you have pre-made. And this should work. There we go. I think that that's all of the modifications I made. If I left something out, feel free to ask in the comments. And yeah, I will also tell you that. So let's just move on. Fun with functions. So recall that we can add methods or something like functions within objects to a constructor. So suppose we said var SumObj equals new SumObject. When we call SumObj.SumMethod, the code between the curly brackets above will run. So basically what it's saying is, when you call this function, this method is going to run. I think that's what I understand it as. So what we need to do is add a speak method to the person constructor. So this is the person constructor, and we need to add a speak method. So we need to say var speak equals new function, and that's not how you spell function. And is that actually how you do it? No, it's just okay. So it already actually gives us a way of how we can do it. So I'm just going to copy that, and I will explain what it does as well after I actually explain. So add a speak method. So instead of some method, we need to call it speak. Whenever speak is called, it should print hello to the console. So we need to do console.log and hello in there. Let's see, there we go. So let's actually explain what is happening here. So this is a an object constructor. So once the compiler sees this, it's not actually going to do anything. So then it gets onto this line. So here what we create is a new object, and this object is called user. This user's job is a Codecademy student, and they're not married, which in this case is actually kind of true, I guess. The Codecademy student to an extent is true, and this is definitely true. So that happens, and then what we create here, so inside this, because we call the person constructor, this happens, and then this isn't ran. This is ran when you actually call it, because the first time you run it, it just adds it to the list of things that user can do. It doesn't actually do it. So you have to call it for it to actually happen. So just to prove that that's what actually is happening, let's do that, and you will see that nothing gets printed out. This is because you don't ever call the function for hello to be printed out. It's just added to the piece of code in user. So let's move on. Literally speaking, okay? In the last exercise, we added methods to objects via constructor notation. We can also add methods to objects in literal notation. Okay, I was actually wondering how you can do this. So when we call some object that, I'm not going to read it out, the code between the curly brackets will run. So note here we see a method that takes parameters. Methods defined in both constructors and literal notation can take parameters just like normal functions. So what our instructions are, or our task, is to take a look at the partially defined James object. So this, complete the speak method such that the last two lines in the editor will cause hello I am feeling great and hello I am feeling just okay to be printed to the console. So we have speak, and that needs to be oh no, we don't need to do this dot because it's already in James. So we just need speak and then function. Then do we need anything to be taken in? No, we don't, so that should be fine. And inside the function, what we need to do is log Here we go. Hello, I am feeling great. Complete the speak method such that the last two lines in the editor will cause hello and that. So at the same time, I'm guessing. That's the only thing that makes sense for now. Let's see what it says if we just do that. Let's then copy this. Oh, no. So this, okay, I get it. So what we need to, let's just add something like thing to say. And then, so we use this as a variable. You guys were probably screaming at me. So here we go. What we need to do is, so this is going to be printed out after everything. So what we need to do is hello, I am feeling, and then for that to be just added on. So we need to do that. So we copy that over here as well. And now what's going to happen is when we call james.speak, this is going to be passed as an argument to this function, or this method actually. And thing to say is going to equal great in this, for this line. So we don't need two lines. What am I doing? So what's going to happen is hello, I am feeling, and then it's going to find what thing to say is. In this case, because it's great, it's going to change thing to say with great, and what gets logged to the console is hello, I am feeling great. Then for the next line, the same thing happens, except for instead of great, you get just okay. So let's see if that's correct. Well, we're getting correct output, but apparently we have something wrong with our method. Let's see. It looks like your speak method doesn't properly take in a single argument and output the correct string. What is the correct string and what's wrong with my function? It's doing everything fine by the looks of things. Complete the speak method. Do we need, I think we might need a semicolon there. No, we don't. Okay, I'm actually very confused now. The last two lines in the editor will cause hello, I am feeling great, and hello, I am feeling just okay to be printed to the console. That is exactly what happens here. I do not understand. Why isn't this working? Okay guys, I guess I will have to come back. It might just be Codecademy's fault. I will have to look it up. I have no idea why, but this certain lesson doesn't like being treated with a comma. So what you guys have to do to actually finish this is put a plus there and a space there. And like that, it actually works. I don't know why it doesn't like a comma, but I guess it just doesn't. So let's move on and ignore what just happened there. There we go. So can I see your references? Remember, when defining a method for an object, it's easy to reference other properties in that object. Just use this .property name. When that method is called, this .property name will always refer to the most recent value of property name. So what we need to do then is take a look at the James object. Complete the sayJob method so that it will print to the console, hi, I work as a job, where job is the value of the job property. Then in line 14, change the job for James to super programmer. Nice. Although the method calls in lines 11 and 17 are exactly the same, their output should be different because James's job changed. So okay, let's see this step by step then. So take a look at the James object. This is the James object. Complete the sayJob. So we need to complete this so that it will print to the console, hi, I work as a job. Okay. And then I will do the plus thing again because last time it didn't work. And I will call this not job but profession, because just in case job is like reserved, it's probably not, but just to stay on the safe side. Plus profession, Okay, there we go. And then in line 14, change the job for James to super programmer. Let's do that. How do you do this again? The job equals I think that should work. Although the method calls in lines 11 and 17 are exactly the same, their output should be different because we change James's job. James's job, not change's job. So okay, this isn't how you do it. Hire work as a profession. It looks like your say job method does not properly log that to the console. Is there a full stop at the end? No, there isn't. I have no idea why it's doing that right now. That's weird. And say job. Oh, we need to actually add this dot job as an argument there. Or does it want us to add this dot job for here? It might just want us to do that. Or can we just do this actually? Let's see. Well, it does what I want it to do. It prints how I work as a programmer and how I work as a super programmer. But it doesn't, Codecademy doesn't like the way I do it, basically. It looks like your say job method does not properly log that to the console. Can I do it? Am I supposed to do it with a comma? Is that what it wants now? Probably not. Nope. Okay, I will try to find what the problem is again, guys. I'll be back. Okay, it was just a capitalization problem. I had a lowercase I and it's supposed to be an uppercase I. Now it likes my code. Previously, because I had the lowercase I, as you guys can see, it does not like my program, but like this it does. I hate it when details like that actually matter, because in that sense it obviously doesn't matter because it's the output and that doesn't change much. It doesn't, oh well, that kind of output doesn't change much anyway. So let's just look at this program. So who's in your bracket? And finally, let's go over retrieving property values. Throughout this section, we've been using dot notation to get the value of an object's property. So we've been doing the object dot the property's name. But you can also use bracket notation, which is what I attempted to do, but there was no need for it in the constructor task. But you can still do this. Notice that around the property name there are actually quotation marks, which you need because otherwise it's not going to work. An advantage of bracket notation is that we are not restricted to just using strings in the brackets. We can also use variables whose values are property names. Okay, that's interesting. So I guess that you can use something like this as well. So the last line is exactly the same as using some object and that, but yes, it is that is the exact same thing. Okay, let's just see. So what we need to do is take advantage of the ability to use variables with bracket notation. In line 7, so this line, set a property to a string of the first property in James, i.e. the job property. So James job. Okay, then print James's job using bracket notation and a property. So here we need to console.log something, and that something is going to be James's job. So this exact same thing, I'm guessing, using bracket notation and a property. Oh, get just like this? No. So variable property equals that. And then what do we need to do? What are the properties of James? Set a property to be the name, not value of that. So what? Oh, so we want this to equal just job. Then we need to set James to be something else. Oh, you can't just use it like that. Okay, so what this is saying is that you can use this without the quotation marks. So I'm thinking that that's what it actually wants us to do. In this case, let's see. Okay, we get a different error. It looks like James's job was not logged to the console. Well, it should be, but that should equal to just job. There we go. To make it equal job as well, I think you can make it equal James and 0, because that should just give you job. Nope. What does that equal? I just want to find out if there is a simpler way of doing it. So a property. So that's undefined. So it just James.0, or that is nothing. Let's try and copy that. No, it's nothing. Okay, so I guess that you actually need to make this be job. So we need. Let's just read the hint, because I'm thinking that there must be a different way of doing it as well. So what are the properties of James? Set a property to be the name, not value, of the first property in order of the defined score. A property should be a string. Recall that strings are necessary, text surrounded by quotes. We want our text here to be the name of James's first property. You should then use console.log to print. But does it want us to get it? In which way does it want us to get it, basically, is what I'm asking. So I'm thinking that this should be a way of doing it. But you guys can just do job. I don't know why it still accepts that. I don't think that it should accept that, because it's a cheaty way of doing it. Because now if I add something like this, so I want to add age, and I want to access age instead of job, because I want to be accessing the first thing that's here, I will still just be accessing job instead of the first thing, instead of the first element, which is quite confusing. If I find a way of doing that, I will let you know in the next video, guys, but until then, this works, so I will just leave you with that. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please subscribe, like and share if you liked it, dislike if you didn't like it, and tell me how I can improve for next time. But until that next time, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.